Well, it's very difficult to look back on and say, now, what was the favourite? There were probably many of them, but to remember those favourite deeds or actions, I suppose one of the things that I'll always remember, we played either St Pat's or I think it was St Pat's on the Cornwall ground, which of course no longer exists. And I took figures of 6 for 7, including the hat-trick.
I'm Brian Coogan. I had the pleasure of coming to Launceston Grammar in 1956. I spent 3 years at St Giles before that, having contracted polio as a young child. The school is very dear to me. I believe I was the first student at the school with a physical disability. There wasn't any facilities in terms of ramps or anything else, wasn't needed as an independent and healthy, otherwise healthy young fellow. The school means an enormous amount to me. It is a great privilege to be back here on the occasion of 50 years since leaving school in 1965, and my love of the school also extended to organising old Launcestonian dinners both in Hobart and later on when I moved to WA 20 odd years ago.
Yes, well, my memories of grammar are many. I started at grammar in 1954. I came to this campus as the primary school was both at this campus as well as in High Street. Little Grammar we used to call the High Street campus. And I remember in my first year or second year here, the Assembly Hall was built. And we've just had the headmaster give us a recap of the renovations to the Assembly Hall with the new floor. He also mentioned those fabulous blue chairs that everybody remembers, which left an imprint on the backside or the tops of your legs after sitting in there for a headmaster's assembly. And there were two classrooms on either side of the Assembly Hall. I think they ended up being 6A and 6B, and Kirkbride was in one and McLeod were in the other. And I think McLeod may have been the headmaster of the junior school, and that was where the preparatory school High Street kids came and joined in to us at the big campus. I remember also the area just behind you there in the dining room, which was the sunroom, was actually at one stage it was a classroom, and at one stage it was the day boys' table for boarders' lunch. And my parents always wanted me to have a good lunch, so I was never allowed to go to the tuck shop. I was always, from the whole time I was at school, sent to boarders' lunch, or I was in the day boys' table at the boarders' lunch. And I remember one of the very first occasions, one of the heads of the boarders' table was Guy Green, who became the Governor of Tasmania, and he was a big boy when I was a little boy at the day boys' table in the boarders' lunch. I've been able to meet a number of other colleagues today who were at school when I was at school, and some I wouldn't have seen since I left school. So we've changed a bit, but some I remember and others I don't.
Right, well, I've been asked to try and remember some of the stories about the food in the boarding house. I have some recollections. Actually, I came in here today and I was looking up at the ceiling, and I remember one of the tricks that we used to do was to put some butter on the end of a knife, and you could flick it and it would go up and it would stick to the ceiling. But of course, if you got caught, it was very severe punishment. But the food was, I think, pretty routine. We knew exactly what we were going to have on Saturday night, which was pies. Thursday night, I think it was tripe, which after the first year in boarding house I learned to like, because I found that if you liked tripe, you could get 2 or 3 plates of it because no one else would eat it. And it was a funny thing, last night I was talking to John Burns, who said the same thing. He learned to eat tripe and because then you could get lots of it. There were pies. We used to have what he called frogs' eggs, which was sago, I suppose, I think. And so that was for dessert. And there was the custard used to come in, and there was a thing known as pearl ash, and I could never quite work out what pearl ash was until I learnt that Pearl, who worked in the kitchen, used to stir the custard with a cigarette hanging over the custard. So you used to get a little bit of ash in the custard. That was known as pearl ash custard. Another recollection was my first year in the boarding house. My head of the table was Michael Wardlaw, and we were little juniors, and he impressed us no end because he could drink a cupful of Worcestershire sauce straight down, and that remains in my memory. I mean, whether it was a full cup, I don't know. Maybe half a cup, but Worcestershire sauce to us was something you couldn't tolerate. There was never enough of it. There was never enough food. We were always hungry. Some of us were lucky enough to have parents that brought us the odd cake. We used to get fruit one day a week, which would be delivered from Chungong out the back of Matrons, and we would all go out and pick up a bag of fruit, and that would be stored away in your locker, and you would eat that during the week. So that was sort of a supplement to the normal rations. And of course, if you were friendly with a day boy who had a nice big lunch pack, well, that was a real bonus.